Yeah, I was really amazed with the white paper protest. It seemed like it was the moment where, the Communist Party has always tried to divide people, make them suspicious of each other, make them turn on each other, the dojeng concept that you're talking about. But yeah, with the white paper protest, it seemed like so many Chinese people for the first time realized that they weren't alone in disliking the Chinese Communist Party and hating the Communist Party.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mistake to believe that Chinese people are docile and basically um, accepting their fate uh, of being slaves. Uh, there's anger, the resistance was subterranean, as I said earlier. There were oblique, often cases. So what they're waiting for are two things. One is inspiration from outside, and also opportunities from within. Uh, this is the tragic logic of dictatorship. The moment the regime tries to improve itself in terms of governance, and the people they were repressing would see opportunity and weakness of the regime, and they will cause trouble for the regime. So the result is that the regime would enhance and strengthen their repression. So it's a vicious cycle because they know the nature of the regime is so reprehensive. The moment they loosen up, and then that laid the foundation for the demise of the repression. Secondly, I think the Chinese Communist Party lives in constant paranoia about outside influence. They basically is paranoid about the so-called color revolution, peaceful evolution, 和平演变, instigated by some anti-China forces. But most importantly, if you look at China's sort of a heightened rhetoric against Taiwan, in addition to Xi Jinping's egomania, there's also another very important part of that, as Taiwanese democracy has enormous impact and an inspirational power over the people in China. If Taiwanese people, both Chinese speaking, share Chinese heritage, can elect freely their own leaders, why can't the Chinese people do it? I mean, I was watching this report the other day on YouTube about this Taiwanese political show. It's called the Wave Makers, which is a Netflix production about how Taiwanese election officials handle their election processes. And that has enormous echo inside China. And so there's a lot of Chinese people are watching this kind of things. So I think, ultimately, I'm a very optimistic person. And I think, freedom, democracy will ultimately triumph over tyranny and repression.
We were actually in Taiwan for their 2020 election, and I would say even America could learn some things about how they run elections.
Oh, yeah. Taiwanese democracy is amazing. I mean, I don't want to brag about my advanced age, but in 2020, actually in 2000, this is some 23 years ago, I was an election observer from the United States. I was watching, this amazing enthusiasm of the Taiwanese people in participating in this free and fair election in Taiwan. Mr. Chen Shui-bian ultimately won, and I'm amazed by how Taiwanese democracy can leapfrog the world democratic processes and with so many good improved methods. For example, Taiwanese election always takes place on Saturdays, which is weekend. People don't work. In the United States, it's always Tuesday. A lot of people work. So and they do that to guarantee a much larger participation rate. Taiwanese election also has a rule that prohibit publication of polling data 10 days before the actual vote day, day of voting. I think that's very good because in the age of information, popular opinion can be easily manipulated by public relation firms and the political machination. So that is a very good idea. So and I think Taiwanese democracy truly is amazing. It's a beacon of inspiration for people all over China.
So do you think that's why the CCP is so obsessed with Taiwan?
because they want their democracy and they want to bring that to mainland China, right?
Right.
We have to understand the China threat, not just from the material capability side. We cannot just say China poses a threat to Taiwan because China has so many more missiles and aircraft and submarines. We have to understand the true nature of this epic struggle. It is ideological. It's about competition of ideas. My biggest criticism of the Trump and Biden administration dealing with China is we focus too much on technological competition, economic competition, but we forget the ultimate competition with China is a competition of superior ideology of freedom, democracy, human rights over the Chinese communist ideology. That is the essence of this struggle. And I think we have to address the issue of the essence of Taiwan-China struggle. That is ultimately, it's really about freedom versus tyranny, pure and simple.
So what happens if China is able to take Taiwan?
Well, first of all, that will be a tragedy of our century. Secondly, if that happens, and I truly believe the moribund nature of the Chinese communist ideology ultimately is going to be cast into what, as the Chinese communists always say, the trash bin of history.
Do you think the Chinese Communist Party would be satisfied in its ambitions if it takes Taiwan, or does it have ambitions for the future beyond just Taiwan?
Oh, absolutely. Taiwan is just the beginning of the chain of aggression by the Chinese Communist Party. China's target is not just Taiwan. China has territorial dispute with virtually every one of its major land countries. South Korea, even though there's no land border, but they do have a maritime dispute. And Vietnam, India, the Philippines, and you name it. So China's not going to stop at Taiwan. So that's why the Taiwan's defense has become globalized, internationalized, and everybody's realized that. So the nature of the Taiwan conflict is no longer an issue over sovereignty of Taiwan, who should own it. It's becoming a much larger battle, the like of which we have seen in the defense of West Berlin and now in Ukraine. So that's why NATO, EU, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, the United States, everybody is talking about joint defense of Taiwan. So Taiwan is an international issue. As the president of South Korea, Mr. Yoon said very eloquently, like the North Korean issue, Taiwan is no longer a regional issue. It's truly a global issue.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Mr. Yu, was a fascinating look at how U.S.-China policy is made. For anyone watching, where can they learn more about you or what you're working on? Where can they follow you?
Okay, so I have a weekly podcast at the Hudson Institute. It's called China Insider. You can go to Hudson's website, which is hudson.org, and you can find that and under China Center. I also have a Twitter account, which I discover is actually magical. So that Twitter handle is at MilesU10.
There were 9 before you, eh?
Hopefully not.